My first guest is Tallulah Eve, who's just been crowned Miss Transgender Birmingham and is setting her heights now on becoming Miss Transgender UK. Welcome, Tallulah, to the Cuppa TV.
Hello.
Wonderful to have you here on the show.
It's a pleasure.
What a wonderful, wonderful thing to be crowned Miss Transgender Birmingham, of course.
I know, I'm so overwhelmed at the minute because I really wasn't expecting it.
It's just happened, hasn't it? So
yeah.
it's been in the last few
Everything's
weeks.
been so chaotic and mad, and everything's so unpredictable at the minute with the pageant, so you just never know who's going to come out on top, who's going to win, so yeah, I'm happy.
I'm so pleased. Well, let's start at the beginning though. How did it all begin for you, Tallulah?
Well, in terms of like growing up and everything, I was always like really feminine when I was younger, and I always wanted to play with the girls, play Barbies and dress up and things like that. And my mum always used to like push me into doing the boy activities and playing with the boys and doing football, and I hated it. But my grandma could see that I was like really happy being girly and being with the girls, so my grandma would always be like supportive of me, and my mum would be the complete opposite. So it was a little bit difficult. And at Christmas, my grandma would be like, oh, what do you want for your birthday? And I'd say, oh, a Barbie doll. And my mum would be like, oh, no, you're having an Action Man or a football.
Yeah.
And but then as time went on, I kind of realised that I needed to kind of fit in with the boys a little bit more in order to make my mum happy, and so that I wasn't going to get as much stick, because I started to realise that it was a little bit of a, not a bad thing, but I thought, it was a bad thing at that time, because you don't really understand anything at that age. Yeah.
Yes. How old were you, Tallulah?
I was about 5 or 6.
So 5 or 6.
Yeah.
Did you have an inkling then that you were different? That
yeah,
you felt that you were in the wrong body?
From what I can remember, I was always different. And but at that age, you just don't know anything about that kind of thing because you're not educated on it. So I just thought, oh my God, I'm so weird. Like, what's going on with me? And I went through primary school and everything was kind of like fine. I managed to make friends. I was always friends with the girls anyway. And then when it got to high school, I realised how different I really was, because when you get to high school, you're categorised into boys, girls. So the boys will do football in PE and the girls will do gymnastics. And if you don't hang around with the certain groups that you should be, then you will get outcasted. And I did. Had no friends. I was so lonely. And that's how I ended up developing an eating disorder, because I had no one to eat my lunch with at lunchtime in the canteen. So I used to go into the toilets, and then people started laughing at me because I was eating my sandwiches in the cubicles. And so I just stopped eating altogether. And I think subconsciously that was my way of gaining control over something that I had no control with, if you know what I mean.
So
I had
you used the food, if you like, as a way to
that was
control it.
Yeah, it's controlling myself. And so then it was in year 8, so I would have been about 12. My mum found loads of sandwiches stuffed at the back of my wardrobe from where I was like trying to hide them from her. And she's like, what's going on? And I just burst into tears. I was like, Mum, I've got no friends. Like, I just don't want to live anymore. And so my mum took me to a psychologist, and over time I started building my confidence again. I wasn't comfortable enough to embrace my feminine side like how I used to when I was a child, but I was starting to feel a little bit more confident. So I started making friends in like year 9, and obviously it was with the girls, because I've just never been comfortable around guys. Like, I just can't, be comfortable around them. And so I started making friends with the girls, and everyone started questioning my sexuality. They were like, because my name at the time was Aaron as a boy.
I was going to ask you that.
Yeah,
so it's Aaron as a boy.
And everyone used to be like, Aaron must be gay. Like, it's always hanging around with the girls. Like, it's never with the guys or anything like that. And so there was a lot of pressure on me to label myself as something, because I wasn't one of the guys that was getting with all the girls or playing football.
And how old are you at this stage?
I was like 13.
13,
yeah,
14.
13, 14, yeah. And I wasn't a geek, I wasn't anything like that, so there was a lot of pressure on me to fit a certain label. And so yeah, in like the end of year 9, I was just like, you know what, I'm gay, because that's the only way I could kind of like get people to understand and get the pressure off me in a way, because you're so taunted at school. The kids are cruel, they are. And so I came out as gay, and then everything was kind of all right for a bit, but I knew in my head that wasn't it for me. Like, I knew that there was going to be a revelation at some point, yeah. And so after leaving high school, I went to college and I did art and design for 2 years, and I specialised in fashion, and I loved it because it was my way of being able to express my feelings creatively through the arts. And then I went on to do beauty therapy, and that's when I really started to find myself, because I was doing pedicures, manicures, things like that, and so then I started like experimenting with my look. I was dyeing my hair, growing my hair, wearing quite a lot of makeup, and people just kind of like in my hometown thought of me kind of as like a lady boy or whatever they call them. Do you know what I mean? And so a lot of people were talking about me in my hometown. I've always been the talk. I was always the talk of high school because
and how did that make you feel?
Yeah, like I just got on with it. It didn't bother me, if you know what I mean. But yeah, I started expressing myself a little bit more, and then it was on New Year's Eve in 2013. I said to my friend Jason, I was like, you know what? Shall we go to the gay village in Birmingham and have a night out in drag? And he was like, yeah, let's do it. And I thought, oh my God, finally I can be like this woman that I've always wanted to be. And I thought, right, I need a name. And in my head, that was a way of kind of like weaning, is that the word,
yes,
weaning?
Yes.
Weaning Tallulah into Burton, basically, because people wouldn't have understood it any other way. So I thought I'll bring Tallulah out as like an alter ego. And so I went to a psychic. And the psychic said to me, she was like, I'm seeing this beautiful lady in in a dressing room with a mirror and loads of lights around her and loads of cameras around her. And she was like, this lady's name's Tallulah. She was like, do you know anyone called Tallulah? I was like, no. And she was like, She was like, I think this might be somebody that you're going to work with, because at the time I was a makeup artist. She's like, I think it's going to be someone that you're going to work with. And then she's like, actually no, it's going to be someone that you're going to become. She's like, you're going to become this person. And straight away I knew what she was on about. And as soon as she said the name Tallulah, I was like, that's my name. Like, I loved it straight away. So I stuck with that name. And for New Year's Eve, I created my alter ego, Queen Tallulah Fag. And I can't remember what Jason's was at the time. I think it was like Christy Rose. And we went out and it was absolutely amazing. Had loads of photos, and everyone in Burton was like, oh, kind of thing. Like, nobody was really like horrible about it, but people were just kind of like, oh, okay, it must just be like acting.
More accepting.
Yeah. And then, and so then I was going out as Tallulah all the time. Well, kind of like Tallulah drag. I was going out like that all the time, and then eventually I just thought, you know what, I'm just going to tell people that this is what I'm going to become now, because this is what I do generally want. And so that's when I went to the Sun newspaper, and
why did you decide to take it to the Sun?
Well, I got approached by a journalist. The journalist said to me, oh, are you transgender? And I was like, yeah, I am actually, I am transgender. And because at the time I was a little bit confused. Like, I knew obviously I was becoming a woman in my head mentally, and but I hadn't like officially labelled myself as anything. And then when he was like, oh, are you transgender? I was like, yeah, I am. And he was like, do you want to do a story with the Sun? I was like, about what? And he was like, basically like telling your story and kind of like outing yourself because you're not out yet. I was like, you know what, sod it, I'm going to do it. So I did it, and at this point I hadn't told my mum. My mum didn't even like know about any of that. And I remember waking up one morning to like loads of messages on Facebook like, oh my God, you're in the Sun newspaper. I was like, oh my God, no, I need to like quickly like get out the house before my mum finds out. So I went to my grandma's, and I've always told my grandma everything. And my grandma was like, oh, you look good, you look really nice, like don't worry about it, you're just being you. If that's what makes you happy, then that's what makes you happy, and I'm happy to support you all the way. So my grandma was like really supportive about it. But my mum was a little bit like, oh my God, because everybody was saying like, is that really your son?
Is that because of the publicity, do you think?
Yeah. And so my mum had a really hard time like getting her head around it, because she struggled when I came out as gay. She struggled then, but she got her head around it. And then it was kind of like round 2 when I came out as transgender. She was like, oh my God, I can't go through this all again. And And yeah, and then over time, like with the beauty pageant, it became easier for her because she could see that everybody was so supportive, everyone was so loving towards me in my hometown and nationally as well in the press. And she kind of like started to get her head around it. And I think with it being so out there now in the media, you can watch documentaries about it all the time. You see it on the news, in the papers. Like you can really get a better understanding of how how us like as people come to it into this decision to transition.
To transition. And
Yeah.
when with your parents, they're supportive of you now?
Yeah, well,
Yes.
yeah, my mum is, and with my dad was never really around. He was always in and out of prison. He was a bit of a bad boy, and he was in the canteen in prison, and he opened the Sun newspaper and seen me in it, and he was like, "Oh my God, that's my kid." And
Did they have a picture of you as a boy and
yeah,
then a picture of you
yeah,
dressed up in
they
drag?
had the comparison, and. But it wasn't as a drag, this was me as transgender.
As a
this is the
transgender,
first
right.
photo shoot, the first real moment that I actually came out as transgender. And my dad rang me up straight away and he was like, you know what, if that's what you want, then I'm happy to support you. My dad was a lot more supportive than my mum, even though I've always like lived with my mum and everything. My dad was really supportive, but he's just one of those guys who doesn't really care about anything, nothing phases him. And but yeah, my mum's slowly starting to get her head around it a lot more now, and yeah, she's supporting me.
And I mean, have you got any siblings at all? Any
Yeah, I've
brothers
got a
and
younger
sisters?
brother who's 5 on my mum's side, and then I've got 3 brothers on my dad's side and 2 sisters.
And what-
So I've got quite
So
a lot of
a nice little
siblings.
family. And what
Yeah.
about, how do they feel about everything?
Yeah, they love it. Yeah, especially my little sister. She's only 8, and yeah, she loves it.
And do you still live at home? today?
Yeah, I still live
Yeah.
at home. Yeah.
So what do you, what do you find the most difficult? Because obviously it's been you've had an amazing story, but what do you find the most difficult out of all that you've gone through? What's been the most difficult time for you?
The most difficult time, there's been quite a fair few. I think when I first started my transition just over a year ago, that was difficult because at the time, not only in my hometown, but I think across the world, there wasn't really anybody to look up to in terms of inspiration. Like now we've got Caitlyn Jenner and Kelly Malone, but there wasn't really anyone to relate to, if you know what I mean. And I think that's why this beauty pageant is so important, because we're giving society role models, we're giving ourselves up as role models, people to look up to, do you know what I mean? And that's why I put my stories out there in the press, and I come on TV and I do radio interviews and stuff, because I remember when I was, it was in 2006, me and my family were on the way to Wales, and we were reading the Sun newspaper, and at the time, Nadia had just won Big Brother in 2006, and I remember reading her story in the News of the World, and I was like, oh my God, and that was the real like turning point for me. I was like, oh my God, I can have a sex change. Like, I remember reading a story and feeling so inspired.
That was the first time
yeah,
you'd
and
even
empowered.
sort of thought about it.
Yeah, because at the time I didn't know anything about it growing up. I never knew that you could change your gender. I just thought I was going to be a weirdo forever, a woman trapped in a man's body. And then I read her story in the News of the World, and I just felt so empowered. I was like, oh my God, like this is me. And that's what I want for younger people. I want younger people to be able to read my stories, see me on TV, hear me on the radio, and think, oh my God, yeah, I can do that too, she can do it. And that's what the beauty pageant's all about, really, you know, empowering the transgender community and being an inspiration.
Yeah, I mean, you spoke then, you know, it was a difficult time, obviously, and there's been many difficult times, and it's just the actual transition and
Yeah.
people like Nadia. Do you feel now that there are more role models for young people to look
Yeah, definitely,
to?
because people aren't shying away from it anymore, people aren't hiding. And I mean, I'm doing my transition so publicly so early on, do you know what I mean? Like, I've only had like 4 sessions of laser hair removal, and I've still got a massive lump on my throat. I've got no real boobs yet. So I'm very early on, I'm really putting my transition out there, whereas a lot of people would like to transition in peace and quiet. But I know it's helping people, and I get messages daily saying how much I've helped their children, I've helped them, and things like that, so it makes it all worthwhile. But I think the hardest part would be some of the stick I've got in the past. I mean, I've had bottles thrown at my head down the street. I was held at knife point when I was 18. You know, I've had some real difficult moments.
Just because of who you were trying to be and who you wanted to be?
Well, when I got held at knife point, it was more of the case of, this is a straight guy and he had children and he was in a relationship. I didn't know. And he got with me, like, sexually, and then realised afterwards that he didn't want anyone to find out, and he was kind of like ashamed of his curiosity, and that's when he tried to stab me. Is that I don't want anyone finding out, and I obviously sworn down that I wasn't going to tell anybody, but he was having none of it, so he tried to kill me. I literally had to fight for my life, and
so you've had some traumatic times.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, stay with us, Tallulah, because we've just got to take a quick break. But stay with us. We're going to be joining back with Tallulah in just a minute. Cuppa TV. I'm still here with Amanda, and Amanda, you're going to play some songs now.
I am. I'm going to sing
Wonderful.
a brand new song.
What are you going to sing?
Legacy.
Legacy. And this is off your latest EP, is it?
Not yet. We're working on it, though.
Fantastic. So this is a Cuppa TV exclusive.
Exclusive.
Fantastic. We like exclusive. Amanda, I'll leave it to you.
Perfect. Don't wanna watch life fade away, so I'll be the one to bring the change. I'm grateful for those rusted chains that held me down. They made me stronger for what's to come, what's not yet done. I'm gonna leave a legacy and create something out of nothing. I've gotta feel this destiny and be remembered for something greater. I'm gonna leave this life as a legacy. I'm gonna choose to make a stand. I'll stand for justice among the helpless. I'll make a mark they can't erase. Become a memory, go down in history. I'm gonna leave a legacy and create something out of nothing. I've gotta feel this destiny and be remembered for something greater. I'm gonna leave this life as a legacy. Ooh, I'm gonna leave a legacy and create something out of nothing. I'm gonna leave this life as a legacy. Yeah.
That's really good. And have you got anything else you can play for us?
Sure.
Yeah, what would you like to play for us next? What's a favourite of yours that you think the Cuppa TV viewers would like?
Maybe Spinning Gold.
Yes, that's one. I think because when I originally met you in Nashville, I think you played that one to me.
I did.
Yes,
a
go
cappella.
ahead. So this is Spinning Gold.
And lies become the truth. The truth is left unspoken, hidden in the shadows, lost inside. And when your innocence is gone and the world is left you broken, you rise by looking through a different pair of eyes. So we can dance, 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 dance. We can fight, 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 fight. We dress up, hit the ground, wear a smile to believe our lies. We're just spinning gold. Spinning gold. We can fool everyone else, and we can fool ourselves. We can try to keep it under wraps till it unfolds. But we're just spinning gold. We're just spinning gold. In time you lose yourself and kill the voice that guides you, living with a battle raging in your soul. And you're afraid of what they'll see if the walls come down beside you, abandoned on the ground with the one you used to be. So we dance, 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 and we fight, 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 fight. We dress up, hit the ground, wear a smile to believe our lies. We're just spinning gold. Spinning gold. We can fool everyone else, and we can fool ourselves. We can try to keep it under wraps till it unfolds. But we're just spinning gold. We're just spinning gold. Ooh. Ooh. Gold. Gold. We're just spinning gold. Spinning gold. We can fool everyone else, and we can fool ourselves. We can try to keep it under wraps till it unfolds. But we're just spinning gold. We're just spinning gold. Don't see her coming, she comes in through the night. Don't watch her closely, she might rip apart your life. In the blink of an eye. Before you know it, she will steal his kiss. Look on his shirt, then you might find her red lipstick. Oh, she's got dirty tricks. There are thorns behind that rose, and I'm not the only girl who knows. She's a devil on a throne. Oh, the Queen of Hearts. The Queen of Hearts. Once she's got him, he ain't coming back. You need a golden key to free him from her trap. And a plan of attack. Heed my warning, girl, she won't think twice. Takes more than fire to melt her heart of ice.
Hey, I'm now joined by Rex Haberman from the band Light over there. Rex, thank you for joining me again on Cuppa TV.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Rex, it's just been a whirlwind tour so far. We're halfway through the tour. We're almost drawing to a close, really, and I've had the privilege of being on tour with you and your band. How's it going so far?
It's great. It's tons of fun. We've had great shows and great crowd response, so couldn't be more happy.
And now tell us a little bit more about Rex Haberman. Rex, you've come over here, you've flown in from Minneapolis into Ireland to do this tour, but what do you do back home?
I'm an ear, nose, and throat doctor, and I subspecialize in treating ear diseases. So I guess you would say I'm an ear surgeon.
Yes, and I mean people will find that very interesting because from a surgeon and then you do music. Music is obviously a very big passion of yours, Rex. Is that right?
Yes, ever since I've been young, it's been always a passion.
Did you want to be a musician when you were younger?
Yeah, I mean, ever since I was young, my first band I was in 6th grade, so I don't know exactly what it would be here, but it was a band called the Cavaliers. So it was me and 3 other guys.
So you've always done bands, you've always been involved in music, really from an early age.
Yeah,
so
always.
What's so special, because you have a band, the War Poets, as
Yes.
well. What's so special about the band Light Over Here?
Light over there.
Light Over There, I'm so sorry. Light Over There. We'll do that again, hang on. So Rex, you've been doing music for most of your life, you've been in bands, you have the band War Poet. So what's so special about the band Light Over There?
Well, what's special about that is we've been able to put together a really solid group of musicians to bring over from the U.S. and then to perform a music that Aileen and I wrote. It's been, I didn't know where it was going to go and where we'd end up. We had toyed with the idea of maybe playing live, but it's so far away. I mean, how do we get here? Do we hire Irish musicians? I mean, we didn't know how to do it. And ultimately we came to the point where we said, we'll just bring them all here and do it. So yeah, it's been great.
And was it important for you that you started the tour in Ireland, because this is your first tour for the band? Was that important to you, Rex?
Well, what was really important to me was what Aileen wanted, because I mean she's from Ireland, and if that's where she wanted to be, then that's where we wanted to be too. We had talked about maybe doing UK or elsewhere, but really when it got down to it, Ireland being her home country, that's what we wanted to do.
And the crowds have been really, very, very receptive to your music, and they've really loved you. You've had encore after encore. How has that made you feel, Rex, with this new band? How has that made you feel?
Well, I think what I feel the most is I'm really proud of Aileen. I mean, she's worked hard at this. I mean, she's got great talent, but it's really rewarding for me as a musician to see someone who's emerging have this experience and just see the response from the audience. I mean, for me as a musician, it's always great to see the response be positive. But afterwards, when we talk to people, the Irish people are so friendly and so supportive. It just really warms my heart to see this happen.
Yeah, and I mean, as I say, the crowds have been very receptive. Are you surprised by that, Rex? Were you thinking that the crowds would be okay? How was your sort of reaction to it?
Well, it's a little bit of a surprise because I've had the experience of like no response from the audience to tremendous response from the audience. And I think here what I've found is that people are receptive and open and honest and really welcoming and very, very kind. So the response has been really super positive. So I couldn't be happier with that.
And I asked Aileen the same question. Musically, how do you see the band progressing? Rex, what do you see for the band in the future?
Well, I mean, it's who knows? We have our single that's released in the UK is called "Where Memories Live." That just got released, and so we don't know what will happen with that. But I mean, if it even today, Aileen and I were writing songs. We have a few already written, so probably they'll end up in the studio. We'll end up recording them, and who knows?
And is it when you're writing, Rex, is that something that just comes easily to you? Have you always written songs?
Yeah, I mean, when I sit down to play, when I pull my guitar out and start playing, I don't play other songs. It just comes to me. So some idea will come to me, and then if I start playing, then eventually it starts essentially telling me what the story is. Or the other thing I do is I just sit down with a piece of paper and say, what's happening? In fact, yesterday we were driving into Belfast after driving on the road for many hours, and it hit me that I should write a song about coming into Belfast. So Aileen and I this morning wrote a song called Leads Me to Belfast.
So really it's inspiration from everyday things that happen in your life.
Well, that's what people relate to. I mean, when you think about what we talk about, what we write about, I mean, it's what we see around us. I mean, you can do pop songs, which may have some meaning, maybe a little meaning, and then you can write folk songs, which have a lot of meaning. And then sometimes there's these Americana rock songs where you can do melody, you can do instruments, and then you can also have meaning, and you can have sort of substance behind the lyrics. So I try to tell a story if I'm writing lyrics. Aileen is the same way. When she writes lyrics, she tells a story. Usually it comes from our hearts, about what we want to say.
And when you're in Minneapolis, what's the music scene like there, Rex? Is there a good, strong music scene there?
Well, it's very strong. I mean, I don't know how to compare it exactly to all of Europe, but it's the home of Prince, it's the home of the Replacements, it's the home of the Rembrandts, it's the home of Soul Asylum. So we have many famous musicians, great musicians. Yeah, so the local music scene is very, very vibrant, very live. The band War Poets plays in Minneapolis. We also tour the U.S. So we're happy to play in lots of the venues. We've played in about any kind of venue you can think of.
And you played on a barge, in actual fact, didn't you, last night here in Ireland?
Yeah,
so what was that like?
We did. We played in a boat.
That's it.
I think that's the first time I played in a boat.
Yes, I see.
It was really cool. I mean, because you think of a boat that you would think that the acoustics would be not very good, but actually the acoustics were actually very good in the room, and we brought our sound technician with us, so he mixed the levels really well. I thought it sounded really good.
And as far as, again, we've spoken about the future, it's a little bit unknown at the moment, but you want to continue. What does this all mean to you personally, Rex? How has this happened? Because it's been a big transition. You've come over from Minneapolis, you've brought an amazing array of top musicians from all over the US, you've met, the tour is going extremely well. What does all this mean to you?
I mean, it's what we do. To me, it's the job. It's like we want to be professionals. We want to present our art in a way that's professional, well delivered, and so for me, it's extremely rewarding. But I also want to put it into the sort of the context of it's what we do as art. The most exciting thing for me, though, is to meet Aileen and her family. As I was coming over in the plane, it was just hitting me that I'm going to meet this girl who I've been speaking to for the last year, and it was very, very exciting.
Very emotional, I would imagine, to have met her for the very first time.
Yeah, because, honestly, I didn't realize how tall she was, and so I always thought of her as short. I don't know why, but I thought that way. And then when I met her and she's like 5'8", I was looking at her like, whoa, look at this. So it surprised me a bit. But I can say that my interactions with her have exceeded my expectations. I mean, she's a really, really good friend of mine.
Excellent. And you'll continue to write together in the future, of course.
Like a couple of 10 minutes ago.
Have a cup of tea.
Yeah, cup of tea. Yeah, we did. Yeah.
Well, when you come over to the UK, of course, you must come into the studios and join me there, and obviously do a tour in the UK as well. It'd be wonderful to see you in the UK.
Yeah, we'd love to do that.
Okay,
Look forward to it.
Well, keep in touch.
We will.
Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you.
Thanks, Monica.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me in, Monica.
Wonderful to see you. We're in Ireland, of course, on the Light Over There tour. But David, you are the special guest, so you're going around with this wonderful band.
Yes.
What's it been like so far?
Oh, it's been good fun. It's great to play and see friends and family coming out to the shows as well, because being originally from here, it's nice for them to get to see what I'm actually doing in the US as well.
Wonderful. And you're a singer-songwriter, David?
Yes. Yeah.
Born in, well, I don't know where you were born, but you come from Lisbon, Northern Ireland?
Yes,
born
in Lisbon, Northern Ireland, yeah.
Wonderful.
And made it to Boston today by way of Scotland, London, Michigan, Dallas, Washington, D.C.
So you're across the pond now.
Across the pond,
yeah. But again, music is very important to you?
Absolutely, yeah.
So you've obviously been touring with the band here.
Yes.
What's it been like being a special guest with them?
Oh, it's fantastic. One of the best things about it is John Richardson, the drummer. He and I actually met a number of years ago when we were recording my first EP. And we've never actually played live together. We've been in the studio a lot. And he played on both my first record and this summer's record. And it's actually kind of funny, we get to play in a live scenario together for the first time. And then also on the tour with us is Corey Wong. And Corey played electric guitar on the current album, which is great to actually play with him in a live scenario as well. It's the same but different. It's good fun.
So again, you've really surrounded by people that you know, as well as
Yes.
supporting, which has been wonderful. And what's it been like on the tour so far? Has it been all that you expected it would be?
Absolutely, yeah, and more, because we've met people outside of the crew and the band, and we've picked up a new guitar tech, Mark from Cork, and he's a great job, great player, great singer himself, and working with Aileen and her family has been great to work with them as well. So it's like a travelling road show.
Show. So tell me a little bit about you. You're a singer-songwriter.
Yes,
How
that's
have you
correct.
been singing and songwriting?
Well, I guess I started. I started playing guitar when I was a teenager, and actually got into singing more at university in Scotland. And it was kind of, we had a band and we needed somebody to sing, so it fell on me to do it. But I think a lot of guitar players can probably relate to this, is that you start off playing guitar and then you learn to sing, but then you're always struggling to kind of become a singer who plays guitar versus a guitar player who sings. And it's always trying to force yourself into the singer-songwriter mode, and without wanting to just drift off and play guitar all day. It's kind of
that's interesting, isn't it? You said that the guitar, obviously you play the guitar.
Yes.
Do you always write, when you write songs, do you always play the guitar as you write?
Normally, yeah. I'm working on some stuff on piano as well, because it gives you different voicings of the chords, and it's always just fun to spend time feeling the room move, the air in the room move from a piano, because it's different from the guitar. But generally, I think people could probably imagine you play one thing so much that nothing's new anymore. So maybe it's a new guitar, or you tune it differently, or you put a capo on it, and suddenly a new song comes out. And that actually happened on this record. We had a song we were working on, and I wasn't really sure where it was going to go, but as soon as I put on this new voicing and this new capo, and it just came alive, and the song wrote itself. It's not often you get those ones, so you have to grab those from the air and get them onto the voice memo, and then that pretty much is one of those songs. It's a rare one that you get on the voice memo, and that's what you take to the studio, and you play it for the guys just from the voice memo. It's you and the guitar, and then the band is able to pick it up and chart it out, and we go from there.
And when you're performing on stage, how does that feel?
Oh, that's everything. That's what it's all for. You spend the time crafting the songs, working on the record, getting it down, booking the tour, and then it's just everything comes alive. That's the only place in the world to be. It's great.
Now, tell us about your albums that you've got out at the moment. You've got a new one out, haven't you?
Yes.
Called
High Tide Adventures just came out this summer. Yeah.
So that's just come out. So tell us about that one.
So it's been a progression forward. It's been great to have John on both records. So there's some consistency there.
Is it good to work with the same musicians?
Yes, it is. Yeah, it's good actually to experience different studios. But sometimes when you have the same musicians, you can keep that consistent feel across both the albums. I'd imagine I will do other things as well. Sorry, John. But in parallel, we'll say in parallel. But it's nice to work with a lot of different musicians. I play in the Boston area, do a lot of open mics. We've got some friends, Chuck Clow, Ronnie Hirschberg. They've written songs as well, and we support each other a lot and play together. And that's you get your fix from playing with a lot of different musicians. I've often really just enjoyed that. You know, it gets you perked up for the night when you get to play with new people as well. But in recording, it's really nice to know what you're getting. So when you go in with the right guys, you know you're going to have 5 songs done by lunchtime, and it's that kind of rate you get from the guys that are touring with us today as well.
And when you're writing your songs, is there anything particular that you think about, your genre of music, for instance? Well, how would you put your genre of music?
It's just stuff that comes out of the air. And Bullfight is probably the best example of that. I never thought I'd be writing a song with a Latin American feel about bullfighting. It's just one of those ones you grab and you can't say no. The songs are generally screaming inside you trying to get out, and you just have to let them come. And then you're stuck with this thing that doesn't seem to fit the rest of your songs, but then again, the same musicians, same studio, it can sort of give a coherence to the overall album, and yet be different, but actually work with the rest of the song.
And your first album, which was Never the First to Jump.
Yes.
How is that very different to this one?
Sonically, it is a little bit. The current record was mixed by Joe Baldridge in Nashville. And he really brought a fresh set of ears to it, and also the levels were very strong. So, let me take a pause.
Yes. So tell me, David, what's the difference between your first album, which was Never the First to Jump,
yes,
and this one? Is there a lot of difference between the two? Have you changed direction musically?
I don't think direction is a thing you can force. The High Tide Adventure sounds different sonically because it was mixed by Joe Baldridge in Nashville, and he's got a really great ear for a very fresh contemporary sound. The Never the First to Jump was my first major release in terms of using a major studio for my own stuff, having played on the former band Jonas A stuff, but it was different studios create the different vibes, and the rooms can really put a lot into the sound, and this one was, I had a lot more expectation because I kind of knew how it was going to sound. So when you're writing the songs, you feel it's going to be that way. But I guess to answer your question, there are some similarities. I hear a drum fill from John, and I'm like, I hear that on one song in the first record, I hear it in the next one, and there's nice consistency there. But hopefully everything's a progression, both in the songwriting craft, working on my voice, working on my guitar playing. Everything hopefully is a document of a step forward in all areas.
And did you always want to be a musician?
Probably, yeah. Sorry. As long as I can remember, I think it came out. I was reading Keith Richards' book, and he talked about first hearing an acoustic guitar through a stereo, pushing it into overdrive, and I had that same experience. And it was one of those books you read and the words jump off the page. It does something to your brain as a guitar player. It's like, that's something that I never heard before, but I have to hear that forever. I have to keep working for that sound.
You have to keep working with that sound, exactly. Yeah. And I mean, what's the future, David, for you? How do you see it?
More of the same. Keep doing more of the same, and it'd be great to come back to Ireland again in 6 months, see some of the same faces again, see some new faces. And we're also talking about bringing the same experience over to the UK and Europe as well. And it's great to see both sides of the Atlantic and see which songs work in which rooms. And keep on going.
Go from there. And would that be your first tour in the UK if you came to the UK?
First official tour, yes. I played in London when I lived there. I played in Scotland and did a mini tour, years ago, but not on this scale.
And is there anybody you'd like to collaborate with in the music industry?
Ooh. How long do we have? The collaboration thing is interesting.
Lots of big artists are doing that now.
Yeah. And it would be. Yeah, like it's really hard to think who would you not want to collaborate with, because everything opens your mind, even if it was something R&B that you didn't imagine, and maybe I would feel totally intimidated by a huge R&B star, but it's music and there's a common language. You can go to Singapore, go into a bar, pick up a guitar and you're playing with somebody, and usually it's the Beatles that connects everybody around the world, but invariably with different genres, different styles, different countries, different cultures, there's always music you can find. Paul Simon's Graceland is a great example of a North American artist going to Africa and coming at it with a great result.
Well, David, it's been so lovely to meet you. Thank you so much for coming on Cuppa TV.
Thanks for having me.
And we're going to hear a little bit of one of your songs now.
Yes, we'll do some.
So we're going to
let's go get tuned up.
Let's go and get tuned up. We'll come back and join me in just a second. Thank you.